Let's take a look at the most recent crossover between Transformers and G.I. Joe. We'll take a look at Autobot Cup and Triple T, accompanied with Leatherneck and Stg Slaughter. There is so much stuff out there that panders to the now middle-aged kids of the 80s and early 90s. And a lot of it is just such shameless cash-grabbing stuff that's aimed at nostalgia addicts like myself. The Transformers G.I. Joe crossover is like the most valid, legitimate of all the crossovers out there, in my opinion, because this is, and I've said this in other videos, this is a dream come true. These are the two biggest and best properties from the 80s. Throw Masters of the Universe in there as well. But these two things, had they been crossed over or they shared a universe in the toy aisle or in a toy line back in the day, I would have been in heaven. I loved my Transformers, but the fact that they couldn't integrate with anything else because of the size, and even within the toy line of Transformers, nothing scaled with anything else. It was just, I could only play with Transformers with maybe my GoBots. That's it. Having Transformers that integrate with 3 3/4-inch G.I. Joe figures, it really is like this is the pinnacle of toy mashups. And so far, I feel like the line has been really, really worthwhile. I will show the others that I have. I think I have all three of them. Yeah, I do. I have them all three right here. But this is the latest. It's a strange pairing. I like Cup, but I don't know if anybody really expected him to be the next Autobot they use. And the Triple T is not a vehicle I had as a kid. But it looks like it would, I guess it works, even though I wish there was some blue mixed in. But anyway, take a look at the box here. I love how these crossovers have this slip sleeve cover that separates the two properties as you open the box. So let's do that now. You know what? Let me get him out and then I'll be right back. And right out of the packaging, you just snap on two sections with treads on the back, a couple guns and missiles, and he's ready to go in robot mode. And I can already tell you he is by far my favorite Autobot of the Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover. Now, granted, that means he only has to be better than Bumblebee, but he's a lot better than Bumblebee. He is, whatever, I'm gonna get ahead of myself. Let's talk about him. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of scaling up G1 characters so that they can integrate with G.I. Joe figures. I love that. They've had to cut a lot of corners and add a lot of kibble and things thus far on the three other characters that they've given us. They've given us Soundwave, Bumblebee, and Megatron. And Cup is, at least from my first impressions, the most solid of the three. There's not a lot of little bits hanging off of him. I didn't have to plug a bunch of things onto him. Everything's solid. And as far as the coloring goes, I can sort of squint and see sort of like a bluish hue in certain spots on him. So I guess that'll do as far as staying true to the old Cup. I like the roundness of the arms. Nice ratcheting shoulders. The head's on a ball joint. Waist rotation. The hips ratchet. He's got a thigh swivel, knee bend. The toes flip up and down. There's no ankle tilt, but, well, there sort of is, but it's for transformation. I guess you can just sort of unlock it a little bit. But he looks great. These crossover figures do another cool thing in robot mode, which is to... They all seem to come with a sort of like a docking or mounting station where you can put G.I. Joe figures, so that they look like they're just kind of being carried by the Transformer, which I love. And I think this one works like this. Yeah, this flips down and actually reveals a little like computer station there for your guys. And there's a couple foot pegs on that panel there, so you can mount your Joes. Just in case you wanted a closer look here at the face sculpt. That's really nice. So to take advantage of that, let's get these guys out. First, we'll look at Sergeant Slaughter. And since, you know, I grew up in the 80s, for me, this guy will always, first and foremost, be a wrestler that I loved. The 3 3/4 inch Joes that come with these crossover figures look really, really akin to like the vintage stuff. Here he is. This is a vintage Sergeant Slaughter. I don't think the first edition, but it's close. Very, very similar. The plastic is obviously a different quality. It's a little bit softer and a little bit more matte, but I don't mind that at all. And they do come with stands, which I love. And now we'll get out Leatherneck, who I never had as a kid. Here he is with his backpack and gun in hand. Putting the gun in his hand, I already put a stress mark right there at the where this, I don't know a lot about guns, but this section attaches to the back of the gun, that's already stressed. It is a softer plastic and not a good tolerance on that thing, but whatever. I like this figure. I like this set much more so for Sergeant Slaughter. But here is Leatherneck on his stand as well. And let's put one or both of them on cup. I just put Sergeant Slaughter on there. But for a kid of the 80s, this really is a sight to behold. Seeing Joe's characters riding on the back of G1 Transformer figures. All right, so here is Cup in his Triple T tank alt mode. And once he's totally transformed and all the panels line up and clip together, he's very sturdy and he's very satisfying in this mode. I say that in such a long-winded fashion because the robot mode is so blocky that I expected the transformation to be easier than it is, but maybe that's just me being a cynical old man, and Transformers today are never as simple and straightforward as I'd like them to be. But yeah, the transformation is more complicated than I thought it would be. But once he's in this mode, he looks great. There isn't any like obvious cup bits on him. The only spot that you really notice is that his fists are underneath there, but that's about it. He rolls very well. 2 big wheels in the back, 2 up front, small ones. It's a one-seater with no cover, no protection for the driver, but whatever. G.I. Joe vehicles were often a little irrational like that. Solid. Very, very solid. I do have the other... Let me see if I can back out a little bit. The other Transformers G.I. Joe crossovers that we've gotten so far, so we can see how they all look together. It is a USS flag, but I still don't have enough space here. Let's just do this. Don't pay attention to the shark over here. So yeah, they do look great together, and this is becoming a really, really nice like subcategory collection. Yeah, really, really happy with Cup here. This obviously, I think, still flips down so you can store more Joes on the back, doing what they do on these little control panels. There is a foot peg here and here as well, so you can line up a bunch of Joes all over them in the triple T tank mode. All right, let's look at all these guys next to each other in robot mode. And here they are all together, looking mighty fine, I think, in my opinion. Soundwave is still probably my favorite. Bumblebee definitely my least favorite. And these guys somewhere in the middle. But Cup is, I think, very worthwhile, and if he's an indication of where the line is going or continuing, I'll keep picking up these G.I. Joe Transformer crossovers for sure.